Hi, welcome back to 2001 Pack.
It's been a while since we released a video, but nothing more better than to do the Commander Mini first impressions. So we have two of them. One of them has the Shinko 241 installed, and the other has a street tire. So we're gonna give them a try and let you know our thoughts. And at the end, maybe we'll just quickly compare them to the Patton.
Let's go, go, go!
We're back here at the park near the PNE Playland in Vancouver. So what do you think, Christine, now that you've ridden a good amount of distance on it?
Yeah, I remember to say the first impression. My first impression was, when I first saw the wheel, was, ugh. And then after I rode on it, it was like, oh, like that. Because it came with the pads.
The stock pads.
The stock pad.
Yeah.
It looks so ugly.
It does look a lot better without the stock pads.
That's why when I first saw it, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ride this thing. It's just so ugly. It's just not my type.
But now with the purple pads, it's your type.
Not bad, I would say. Pretty good. It looks okay. I think the weight of this Commander Mini is very similar to the Patton, but when I ride it, it feels lighter than the Patton. So I don't feel too heavy. With the Patton, I did mention I have a little bit hard time starting and stopping. But with the Mini, it's pretty easy to start. It doesn't feel heavy. With the Patton, I remember when I first rode it, I was like, oh, it gave me the confidence to ride. But with the Mini, I was scared. I'm like, keep on. I feel like a noob, like a new rider. I was so scared. I'm not sure why.
Now I will say that with these ergonomic pads, it's a lot more comfortable than the Patton was.
Yes, that is exactly. Because at least it doesn't go into your legs, the edge. Suspension. The Patton is on the softer side, as we were complaining about it. This one is the opposite. It's on the stiffer side.
So for me, I actually really enjoy the Commander Mini because it is stiff and doesn't really bottom out that much. I think I did bottom out at the stairs.
Oh, coming down.
Because you could hear that little ding sound. But if that was the Patton, I would have bottomed out a long time ago.
Yeah. But this one, not even on stairs, normal roll, everything for me is too steep. And there's no way to make it softer for me. So,
Yeah, I think if you're a little bit heavier on the ride, maybe 150, 160 pounds plus, this wheel will be a very good contender to the Patton. depending on your ride style and what you're looking for. But in terms of when I ride this wheel, I feel more, and I'm on the heavier side, right? So I feel more like it's kind of like a sportier suspension in a way, whereas the Patton kind of feels like a Cadillac style suspension to me. So if you prefer to feel the road but have it smoothened out a little bit, this wheel does that. If you prefer that a lot of the irregularities of the road are taken away, the Patton's really good at that.
Yeah. For lighter riders, I prefer the Patton, even though it's soft, but for me it's okay. But this one is just too hard for me.
So let's get to the torque test.
Let's go. I feel like I have wings.
Do you want to come down? No? Okay. Coming down isn't bad. Just nice and steady.
Oh, it's downhill. No. See ya.
Take two, she's gonna go a bit slower. For those that question how steep this hill is, keep in mind that this is a nice textured rubber, and Christine is wearing armored pants, and here we go.
Ready? Pretty fast.
Now that the torque test is complete, what are your thoughts?
Oh, it was surprisingly torquey. Because it was not as responsive as a Patton. I thought it won't be as torquey as it. But when I go up the hill, it was like very flowy. It feels like I have wings. Yeah.
So do you think it has more torque than the Patton or less?
It's hard to say. We want to take it to the trail.
Yeah, we'll take it to the trails after this and see how it does. Now I will say, I don't know how slow I went with the Patton, but I will say that with this wheel, when I really slowed down the speed to a crawl, the motor grunts quite a lot, and it did dip a couple times. So there's that. And when it did dip and I looked at the temperature rose pretty quick, but the heatsink did cool it down quite effectively as well. So it got up to about, I believe I saw about 55, 56 degrees, but after about 30 seconds, it was back down to about 40 to 35 degrees. So I would say that this wheel probably has a little bit less torque than the Patton does, but for that trade-off, you get a little bit more speed. Well, let's go hit some trails and see how it does in the trails.
Okay.
So as you see, we just finished some trails. We tried to do some jumping. Christine was kind of feeling it up a little bit.
Teach me how to jump, please. I don't know how.
We both don't know how. We both would love someone to teach us. How did you find the wheel in trails and in jumps?
It feels better than on the road, or maybe I rode it a little bit more now, so I feel more comfortable on it or more confident on it. And it's fun, it's really good. It takes turn well, it's really fun. But once you're in a harder part or a steeper hill, oh, it takes so much effort to go. I was going up that hill and I was on my toe the whole time and I was still struggling going up.
We're gonna head back home, maybe grab a bite before we head back, and let you know what our final overall thoughts are. Our stomachs are full. Means all the blood is there now, and it's going to take a little bit of effort for us to think. But Christine,
Yes.
what are your final thoughts? Now keep in mind, before we get into this, this is just a first impressions, okay? We haven't ridden this wheel much. We are going to Northwest Electric Fest. We will ride it a lot more then, and we will ride it a lot more afterwards. We'll let you know our full detailed thoughts after we have about 500 or more kilometers on the wheel, because first impressions can be a little bit biased. What do you think overall of the wheel?
It's a good wheel, of course. Easy to control. It's light enough. It has all the protection like bumper, handlebar, enough torque. If it's just an overall wheel, I think people will like it.
To add to that, the pedals are super grippy. Now, normally I wear riding shoes. Today I wore Vessies, and I have to say, even when I'm riding and trying to reposition my foot, it honestly feels like the pedals are chewing up my shoes. And it's super grippy. There's like, people ask me when we're gonna put aftermarket pedals on the wheel. I never put aftermarket pedals if they don't need it. And so this is one of the wheels where I would, although I have a set of aftermarket pedals that I do want to test, I will not be putting on this wheel because the pedals on this wheel are really, really good. Seated riding, it's not bad because the top surface is pretty flat. But between the two pads, there is a bit of a dip. And so your butt bone, depending on the size of your butt, can slide in and out of that hole. If you do get a Commander Mini, I would just suggest getting a piece of yoga mat, cutting the shape of the gap in between the two pads, and just leveling that surface out, and it'll help immensely in terms of overall comfort. Because I know that you found the suspension a little bit stiff on the road, but how was it in the trails? Did you find that it was still throwing you around a little bit too much?
It's okay, because we don't have much big drops on the trail that we did, so it's hard to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find that it was less comfortable? Because the trail that we did it was dead moped.
Yeah.
It was quite easy going. Did you find that you preferred the comfort of the Patton on those trails?
Yes, definitely. Because even going up a little, those broad walk, I do feel a bigger bump, and coming down too, I do feel it a little bit more. I guess it's because it's different.
It is different, yeah. If you're looking to buy one of these wheels, the Commander Mini or the Patton, and you're using your own hard-earned money, Christine, factoring all the experience that you've had on the Patton and all the experience, although very limited, on the Commander Mini, if they're the same price, which one would you buy?
Just the first impression?
Yeah.
Just based on the first 25 kilometer, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go for the Patton.
Okay. Now, let's say the Commander Mini is $500 cheaper.
Money. Commander Mini.
Commander Mini? Yeah. So what I will say is that the Patton and the Commander Mini are for different types of riders. For me, personally, because I'm heavier, the Patton suspension is just too soft for my liking, and it's always in the back of my head whenever I ride it. So my vote goes for the Commander Mini. However, if you're doing technical trails, climbing trails of those sorts, rooty trails, the Patton is a much more responsive, much torquier wheel for that. If you're doing a flow trail, something similar to what Chance does in his videos, where he's flying down this trail and he's getting hops and landing and all this, I would say get the Commander Mini, because the suspension is a lot stiffer and it's a lot less probable of a bottom out. Today I did a little hops, I did a little bit of stairs, and although it may have bottomed out here or there, it was not that bad at all.
Not as much, yeah.
So it wasn't on my mind while I was riding. The other thing too is, for the sacrifice in torque, again, you do get that extra speed in the Commander Mini. And so if you are kind of thinking about buying this wheel not just for trails but also for overall use.
Speed demon.
Well, I mean, I think it's a more overall well-rounded wheel.
You think it's it's a well-rounded wheel?
It's a well-rounded wheel, yeah. The Patton's really, really good at torquey trail, technical trails type of stuff. But I believe the Commander Mini is much more well-rounded. It sacrifices a little bit of that specialty for a little more jack-of-all-trades.
I do like the size of the Commander Mini than the Patton.
In what way? The width?
Just overall, the way you feel it, it just fits me better, the size.
Look forward to the more detailed 500 kilometer review. We'll get into much more comparison in depth, and we will ride both of them side by side and do some A/B testing. Look forward to that, and we'll see you if you're going to Northwest Electric Fest.
Okay, please like and subscribe, and you may also turn on your
Ding dong,
ding dong to receive notification of our latest content. See ya! Bye bye!